Hello, my name is Cheryl Meyer, otherwise known as Cheryl M. Health Muse, and I am a health coach. I want to welcome you to my podcast, It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future Proof Your Health. This is a weekly show that will share lifestyle changes that you can make to support your health yourself. Why do I want to share this information with you? 7 years ago, after being a business owner for 20 years, I woke up one morning in horrific pain where every bone and every joint in my body hurt. I went to the doctor. She ran lots of tests, and then she ran some more, and then she ran some more, and finally she called me and announced she was going to give me steroids, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with me and I should seek therapy. I knew something was wrong. I hurt. So she told me I would be on steroids for the rest of my life, and I refused that I was going to have a life of pain and pills. So why was I going to take steroids if there was nothing wrong with me? So I dug in and started researching, and I turned my business over to my staff. I found a functional doctor who confirmed that I had autoimmune disease. By making a series of significant lifestyle changes that I could do for myself, 5 years later, I had returned to relative health. The best part is that I am now 70, and I feel better now than I did when I was 50. I no longer hurt, which is huge. I will always have autoimmune disease, but losing the pain has been amazing. I went back to school at 67 and became a health coach because I want to share everything that I learned with others. And I wrote a book called It Feels Good to Feel Good, Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reduce Inflammation, and Feel Great Again, as the manual I wished that I had had when I got sick, and my book has won 13 awards. So whether you want to future-proof your health and grow old with dignity and grace without dementia and chronic pain and disease, which you don't need to get, or whether or not you already have a chronic condition like autoimmune disease or cancer or heart disease, and you want to learn about what things you can do to improve your long-term health, or whether you want to improve the health of your families and raise healthy children, because 53% of our children have a chronic condition, I look forward to sharing all this information with you. I will tell you, it truly does feel good to feel good, so let's get started. I look forward to having you join me here every week, and I want to give you hope that if you have chronic pain or chronic disease, you can make changes that will improve your health, and if you don't want to go there, you're going to be fine if you listen to the show and put these things into work. I want to give you information so that you can grow old and have a better tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. Let's get started. Hello, my name is Cheryl Meyer, and I am otherwise known as Cheryl M. Health Muse. And I want to talk to you today about why food quality matters. And I'm going to show you what I do when I'm going to leave the house and go someplace else with a large group of people, like at a summit or at a convention. I'm going to take my food with me, and I'm going to make a multicolored jar salad. Now, what I want to point out to you is I don't want you eating the standard American diet. What is the standard American diet? Processed and fast food. And why don't I want you eating that food? Because the food quality is icky. It's loaded with all kinds of ingredients that are not good for your health, that you can't pronounce. You don't know what they are, so guess what? Your body doesn't know what they are either. And they're not good for your health. They give you absolutely no food quality, and processed food and fast foods loaded with them. It's also loaded with sugar and with salt. So I don't eat that food anymore because 9 years ago I got autoimmune disease, and that food makes me feel lousy. So I don't want you eating processed food and fast food with all those ingredients in it. Now let me define what processed food is, because that will explain to you why I make these salads and take them with me. Processed food is things that come in a box. It's frozen fast food or processed food. And it's restaurant food, because if a restaurant isn't cooking the food itself, it's getting it in little baggies that makes it just like the frozen food in your refrigerator, only now it's getting zapped and arranged on a plate. So all of that food has things in it that's not good for your body. So I was in a little bit of a quandary when I improved my health dramatically by eating real food and cooking. What was I going to do when I was with other people and they were going to go out to a restaurant that didn't have anything in it that my body was going to like? And so I came up with making these jar salads, which is what I'm going to show you today. Now, why are jar salads important, and why is it important to eat the rainbow? Well, every color of the rainbow has gifts for your body, and they get together and they have a little party that says, hello, I'm happy, when they get in your body, because they work together, and each color has different phytonutrients that are good for you. So it's really good for you to eat the rainbow fairly close together. Red foods, orange foods, and yellow foods are really good for your immune system, which is particularly good right now because of COVID-19. You want to boost your immune system as much as possible. Green foods are really good for your heart and your liver. And if your liver's not happy, neither is your heart. So it makes sense that these green foods are good for both. So you want to eat a lot of green foods, especially cruciferous vegetables and bitters. Purple and blue foods are loaded with antioxidants, which means they lower inflammation. Now, why is that important? Inflammation is the slow burn that causes autoimmune disease, heart disease, and cancer. And so you want to eat the purple and the blue family to keep that inflammation tapped down so that you aren't feeling all of that. And then white foods are mostly prebiotics, which mean they feed the good bacteria in your tummy, and things like garlic are very heart healthy. They lower your cholesterol, they lower your blood pressure. Leeks are white foods that are really good in probiotics. Jicama is a probiotic. So you want to get as many of all of these colors into your diet as possible. And so when I'm going away from the house and I'm going to be out and about, I make what I call my rainbow salad. Now let's talk for a second, one more reason why it's really great to eat a variety of different colors. I'm going to tell you the story of the three little pigs. Remember that from when you were a kid? Well, do you want to have a house that's built out of straw, that's built out of sticks, or that's solid and built out of bricks? If you're not eating all the colors of the rainbow with all these phytonutrients, seriously, when the wolf comes along, your house is going to come tumbling down, because when he takes a big breath, your houses are going to fall down. But if you're in the brick house, you've made your house out of quality building materials, which means you have a strong and healthy body. So, whoa, now when that wolf blows, your house is going to stand. And every cell in your body has a shelf life. Your gut lining, which is so important to your health, replaces itself every 6 days. Your heart lining replaces itself at least once every year. Your lung lining, so important for COVID, replaces itself every 6 or 7 days. Your lower intestinal lining, because of the highly acid and corrosive materials down there, it replaces itself every 3 days. They now know that even brain cells replace themselves on a regular basis, and bones replace themselves on a regular basis, and your skin replaces itself on a regular basis. And you need all these great phytonutrients so that you have building materials to build the brick house in your body, and not the straw house or the stick house. Okay? So it's really important that you eat quality food and you don't eat chemicals that you don't know what they are, you can't pronounce. So stay away from the processed food and the fast food. Now there is some processed food that's just real ingredients. And that's partly what this summit's all about, is to create more foods that you can purchase that are out of real ingredients. So we want to influence the industry. But in the meantime, buy your own food from a farm as close to you as possible so that it was probably picked recently, maybe even the day before, so that it has maximum nutrients that are fresh and viable for your body to utilize. It's really important. If I don't eat this way, I've gotten rid of all of my pain of autoimmune disease, and that's huge. And if I don't eat this way, my body tells me, and I ask my body every morning, how do you feel, body? And if I haven't been behaving, my body tells me, and I'm not willing to give up feeling good, which is the name of my book. It feels good to feel good, or feeling good, living low toxin. So let's talk about my multicolored salads. The first one that I want to show you is loaded with goodies. See all the different colors that are in here? This salad has baby lettuce that includes purple and green, baby arugula, which is a bitter, which is really good for your liver and your gallbladder, shredded purple and white cabbage, which is our cruciferous vegetables, which are wonderful for you and nutritious and good for your heart and your liver, yellow and red tomatoes. See those in there? They're yummy. Strawberries, because I like a little sweet in my salad, radishes, which are very liver healthy, and multicolored carrots. Let me show you how beautiful they are. So that's the first salad that I made that I might make if I'm going away from the house, because this is yummy. And by having it in the jar, it stays fresh and it's ready to go. Now let me show you my second salad. This is my second jar salad. I have baby romaine in this again, and I want to tell you, a lot of vegetables come in more than one color. And it's important that for variety, you eat all the different colors. So if you're eating cauliflower, buy some cauliflower that's white, buy some cauliflower that's yellow, buy some cauliflower that's purple, because they all have slightly different phytonutrients in them, which means that they get together and they party better in your body. You don't have to eat them all in the same day, but for variety, make sure you're getting some of all of it. The baby romaine that I bought was partly green and partly deep purple red. So I'm going to get the advantage of the phytonutrients in both of those different leaves. Then there are some peppers, little red and yellow peppers in here, celery, orange, red, and yellow tomatoes, and then pickled beets. Pickled beets are really good for your body, and believe it or not, if you buy beets, when you're going to pickle them, save the greens, because the greens are really liver healthy. So look how gorgeous this is. So that's my second salad. My third salad, this yummy looking salad, look at the wonderful colors in that. This is cucumber, bell pepper. See all the cute little bell peppers in here? There's little yellow and little red bell peppers in here. It's coleslaw, which is both purple and white, which are cruciferous vegetables, so they're super good for your liver and your gallbladder, and they're a little bit of bitter, which makes them especially good for your liver and your gallbladder. It has raspberries and blackberries in it. Now, why is that important? That's your purple family, which are antioxidants, which are extremely healthy for your autoimmune disease, or to ward off autoimmune disease or cancer or heart disease, because they're antioxidants. And I have a theory that if you don't want to go where I did and get autoimmune disease or cancer or heart disease, eat like you have it now, and then you will not get it ever, because you're using food as your pharmacy, and that's F-A-R-M-A-C-Y, not the other spelling for pharmacy. This is medicine. This is health. So also in here we have multicolored carrots, multicolored tomatoes, and we have gorgeous pickled beets. And if you're going to buy beets and pickle them, save the greens, because those greens are super good for your liver and you don't want to throw them away. Now, the last salad has arugula, which is a bitter, really good for your gallbladder and your liver, baby romaine, which has both the purple leaves and the green leaves in it, coleslaw, which is again white and purple, cabbage, heart healthy, liver healthy, really good for you. Green onion, cauliflower. Now, when you're buying cauliflower, make sure that sometimes you buy the white, sometimes you buy the purple, and sometimes you buy the orange, because each one of those colors has different food and phytonutrients in it. And the whole name of the game when you're eating the rainbow is you want variety, because variety is really good for your body, and then they get to party in your body. You don't need to eat them all at once, but mix them up and eat them in different times, like purple potatoes versus white potatoes, or purple lettuce leaves versus green lettuce leaves. There's celery in here, green onion in here, radishes. Radishes are super good for your liver, so you want to include those. Carrots, mushrooms, which are great for detoxification, and then both yellow and red and orange tomatoes. Now, I have some other little containers here that I carry with me when I travel to eat these as salads. So let's see what I have in each of these containers. These are stainless steel. The first one I can't tip, but it has my salad dressing in it. Here, this is Daniel Walker's recipe for ranch dressing, which is non-dairy, and it's absolutely delicious. And two of the things that go into this are real garlic and real dill. And you want to use herbs as much as possible because you want to add variety, and they all have all kinds of goodies for your body in them too. And then this is made, instead of with dairy, it's made with Follow Your Heart mayonnaise that is soy-free, and it's made with coconut cream, which makes it that yummy consistency. So that's my salad dressing. It has its own little container so it doesn't make all my vegetables limp and icky until I get to eat my salad. My next little container has ham in it that is boiled ham from Applegate, which is organic. So it comes from animals that have been treated very humanely, and that's one of my sources of protein. So that goes in a separate container. My next little container has black olives in it. Olives are super healthy for you. They are loaded with good omega-3 oils, and I happen to love them. So these are Kalamata olives that I'm going to throw into my salad and make it especially yummy. Then in this container, I have vegan feta cheese from Vita something or other. This I add onto my salad. It's yummy. It actually tastes like dairy feta cheese, only I'm dairy sensitive, so I can't have it. And I don't want to have cheeses that are domestic, that are from dairy, because they're loaded with hormones and antibiotics and all kinds of icky stuff. So the feta cheese adds some wonderful texture and variety to my salad. Then I have some salami that's going to go into my salad. Yum. It's also Applegate salami, so that it's clean and it's something that I can eat. Then we have pumpkin seeds. Now, pumpkin seeds I bought raw, and I roasted them myself in avocado oil, and then I added some sea salt to them. Why did I roast them myself? Because most nuts and seeds come in GMO oils, and GMO oils means that they have Bt toxin right in the plant. So Bt toxin is something that when the bug bites it, it blows him up so that he doesn't destroy the plant. Well, when it gets into your gut, he blows up all your good gut bacteria. So I don't want that in my body. So I control that. It takes me 2 seconds by roasting my own nuts to go into my salad. And then I had 2 more containers. One has another variety of vegan cheese, which is a Colby cheddar mix. Yum. It actually tastes like the real thing. And my last container has green onions in it that I'm going to throw into my salad for a little extra taste. And green onions, again, are a prebiotic, so they're going to feed my good gut bacteria. I buy bowls that are biodegradable that I take with me. I might take more than one because these salads are bigger than the bowls, so that I can distribute it and then put my dressing on. And then what do I do for silverware? I either buy bamboo silverware or I take some old silverware that I have in the drawer and then take it back home and wash it. So this is how I travel. Now, if everybody else is going out to lunch, sometimes I'll join them and sometimes I'll stay like in the lobby of the hotel in the general area to eat my lunch. It's more important to me to eat quality food to support my body, because then I feel great, than it is to have the community of eating with everybody else. Doesn't mean that I don't go sit with them. I might go and order just an iced tea and sit with them and then go back early and sit and eat my salad, but I control what goes into my body. Now, where did I buy all this food? I bought all this food at a farmer's market. And one of the things I'm going to give you is the chapter from my second book on why it's important to shop at farmers markets. You want to know who is growing your food, and you want to know whether or not they're using herbicides and pesticides, because if you don't know that and you are getting herbicides and pesticides, then you're getting poison with every bite of food. And I don't want that. If you go to farmers markets, as a foodie that eats healthy, you can find all kinds of great things. And if you go to farmers market, you're buying goods that were probably just picked the night before, so they have premium nutrients in them. So my chapter to my book is going to be in the folder that you're going to get at the end of this. And then the other thing you're going to get is, when I'm going to cook, I now look up any recipe. It may be a healthy recipe, it may be a paleo recipe, it may be a vegan recipe, but whatever it is, I look it up on the internet. If I want to make tabbouleh, I'll look up a tabbouleh recipe. And then I use my use this, not that chart that I've put together that'll tell you all the ways to convert whatever's in that recipe to healthier versions. As an example, if it's something that needs a cream sauce, I make a cream sauce out of soaked overnight cashew nuts and cauliflower. Believe it or not, when I put the seasonings in and I put the ghee in it, which is my butter replacement, because I can't have the butter solids that are in real butter, but I can have the ghee, which has that removed, then I can make it taste just like the real thing. It actually tastes just like cream when we're done. Instead of regular yogurt, I use almond or cashew yogurt. Instead of ketchup or barbecue sauce or mustard, I don't buy the everyday 57 variety type anymore. Now I buy a cleaned up version that doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, that comes from, and they make a line of all your condiments that don't have all the chemicals in it and don't have all the sugar in it, which is fantastic. If I'm going to buy tomatoes, I only buy them organic and in cans and jars. I don't buy them in cans. Why? Because tomatoes are acidic, so they're going to pull the metals out of the can. So I buy Jovial in jars so that I don't have that problem. So it's a much cleaner, healthier product. As I told you, I didn't use butter or never use margarine. That's all just fake stuff. I use ghee, and ghee actually has an oil in it that's really good for your body. It's called CLA oil. So you're going to get a copy of my use this, not that chart, and then you're going to be able to convert any recipe to a healthier recipe as well. So food quality matters no matter what. I want you to remember that. And preferably, I want you to cook for yourself and for your family, because I want you to control what you're putting in your body, and I want you to stop eating just to lose weight or eating just for taste. You can eat really yummy food and eat for health. So the bottom line of this whole presentation is, I want you to start to eat for health and to eat quality food. Thank you for listening to me. My name is Cheryl M. Health Muse. You can find me at, if you remember that as your key word, it's Cheryl with a C, M like Mary, Health Muse, because I want to be a muse and inspire you to adopt healthier habits. And then if you do at Gmail, you can email me and I will always answer you. Or if it's .com, you can go to my website, which is loaded with great information. Or on Facebook, you can find me under Cheryl M. Health Muse. Or on Instagram, you can find me at Cheryl M. Health Muse. And on LinkedIn, you can find me at Cheryl M. Health Muse. I do one-on-one coaching, so if you have a hard time figuring out how to adopt these healthy habits, your first interview with me is free because I want you to share what your health history with me is and what your goals are so that then we can put together a plan and I can hold you accountable to reach those goals. So also, if you go to It Feels Good to Feel Good, you will go to my book on Amazon and you can go to my podcast on voiceamerica.tv, which is loaded with more great information. And half of it is me talking about health, and the other part of it is me interviewing other people who, like me, got sick, but owned it, changed their lifestyle, and returned to wellness. And I've talked to people who had cancer and heart disease and who are bipolar and who had Lyme disease. You name it. I don't want you to feel alone or think that you can't do it. You have more power than you think. So if you watch my interviews, it should inspire you as a muse to clean up and to live a healthier life. It's never too late to adopt healthy habits. And thank you. I'm happy to make this presentation to you. Hello. I'm back, and you just watched my cooking demonstration for a very special event called Freedom Kitchen, because 40 health professionals joined together to try to be the change that we want to see to get America to eat real food. I only had 20 minutes to make my cooking video, so I want to add some additional information and then share my cooking video with my podcast crowd because there's more information that's really interesting that I want to talk about now that you've seen me make these yummy looking multicolor salads that are one of the foundational pieces of my diet. So, what is it that I want to talk about now? Well, I want you to understand, I did tell you several times that food quality matters, and so that part was made clear. But every single time you take a bite of food, I want you to consider that you're actually programming your biology, and you have a choice of whether or not you want to program it for health or you want to program it for disease. What is the SAD diet, the standard American diet? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's sad because that diet is what the majority of Americans are not only eating themselves, but feeding their families, which is why 54% of our kids have some kind of chronic illness and 60% of adults has some kind of a illness as well, which is why we're getting hit so hard with COVID-19. Our bodies do not have strong immune systems and they just can't pound back against that virus when it starts to attack the body. Now, I'm immune compromised. You probably know that. I got autoimmune disease 9 years ago. So I have done everything in my power to build my immune system by eating real nutrition. And I'm quite passionate that I want everybody to do this. So I'm going to add some additional information on why I am willing to make my own salads in little canning jars and take them with me when I'm away from the house, because food out in restaurants is not necessarily quality food. Now, I live in two places. I live in Los Angeles and I live in Sedona. In Sedona, there's 15 restaurants I can walk into off the street and get farm to table quality meat, quality vegetables, and I can order not everything on the menu, but something on the menu that's going to make my body happy and make my body want to sing. But when I'm in Los Angeles, it's not so easy. I have to go all over greater Los Angeles to find 15 restaurants, if I can even find 15 restaurants going all over Los Angeles. So, one of the reasons I'm in the Freedom Summit, the Food Freedom Summit, is because we want to impact that healthier food is available to everybody. But until that's the case, you control what you put in your mouth, You control the food that you prepare and that you eat, and it's not hard to prepare it and take it with you so that you always have quality food with you. And I make those salads not only when I'm like at a summit or at a speaking event, but I also make that food when I'm going to go on an airplane or when we're traveling by car across country. We have a little tiny refrigerator that we keep in the car so that we take our own food with us so that we're not getting too hungry and making poor food choices where we're eating stuff that does not have the phytonutrients that our bodies need to feed our body's health. And you have a choice. Are you going to eat for health? Or are you going to eat for convenience and for taste? Eating for health does not mean that you are not eating for taste. When you get detoxed off all that cruddy food or what's called crap, which is carbonated, refined, artificial, and processed, when you get detox off of that and you break the addiction, you're going to be surprised at just how great real food tastes. And that's going to be what your body craves and what your body prefers. So I want to talk to you more about some more of the interesting things that I've discovered about real food because I believe that knowledge is power. And the more you understand about the food that you're eating, the more likely you're going to want to take the time to feed your body quality food. There's approximately 25,000 phytochemicals in the plant kingdom. 25,000. And so they're they've recently been determined only recently to be critical for our health. Surprisingly, they're also found in quality meats. And what's a quality meat? A quality meat is an animal who got to eat his own species specific diet. So, in the case of a cow, it's a cow that got to eat grass fed, grass finished grass because he has two stomachs and he eats grass, and that's how his body works. He does not eat genetically modified corn that is loaded with BT toxin. He is built to eat grass. So, quality beef has all the phytonutrients in it that your vegetables should be giving to your body as well. Sheep like to eat grass, so they're easy. Bison like to eat grass, so they're easy. Chickens should not be cage free. They saw those little beaks off the chicken so that he can't peck at them at each other when they're right next to each other, and they're stressed as heck because just because they're not in cages doesn't mean they're not under horrific situations in the barn. You want to be eating chicken that are running around in the field eating the diet that they were put on this earth to eat, which happens to be grass, berries, and bugs. And that's when they taste the best. And then you don't want all the added hormones and antibiotics and crud they're adding to that poor bird so that he can land on your plate and be healthy enough for you to eat, although I say that loosely. So I want you to eat free run chicken, free run turkey, Cornish game hens that are organic, lamb, grass fed, grass finished beef, grass fed, grass finished bison. And then we eat something called heritage pork, which is also pastured pork and really good for us. Okay. But mostly what I want you to eat is all the colors of the rainbow. And that was pretty clear with the salads that I just showed you. What I did not talk about is the other part of my statement. I want you to eat from a farm as close to you as possible, and I want you to eat in season. Now, why is that? Because believe it or not, nutrients don't last forever. So I want you to eat the plant food that you're eating as quickly as you can after it's been picked, because that's when you're going to get maximum nutrients and that's when he's at his finest. So you want the best phytonutrients that you can get. And it's not going to result in something like scurvy or rickets or in protein malnutrition. It's going to lead to long term latency deficiency diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, dementia, depression, and more. In order to understand why all these phytonutrients are important, I want to talk for a second about inflammation, because the phytonutrients are important so that you don't get inflammation, and inflammation comes from an unhappy gut. So, what are the signs of inflammation? I missed them all until I woke up one day and I was in so much pain I couldn't move. I missed all the signs that I was getting inflammation. So I want to go through them now, because then you'll understand why all these phytonutrients are so important. Inflammation in the body is represented by pain, fatigue, redness, stiffness, swelling, and feeling just plain lousy. That was me. I felt lousy most of the time. In fact, I didn't even recognize how lousy I felt until I came out the other end of autoimmune disease, had cleaned up, and started feeling really great. So it can show up as hay fever. It can show up as skin issues and diseases like psoriasis, eczema, and acne, or skin rashes, which is what I was getting a ton of. Brain fog, indigestion, constipation is a definite sign of inflammation, but it could also show up as diarrhea, type 2 diabetes, or as infections and dry eye and sensitivities to products and foods that you've used your whole life that suddenly are starting to bother you. It can also show up as weight gain, obesity. Um, and so you want to be aware that your body is talking to you, and don't wait until it's screaming so loud that you can't ignore it, which is what I did. It was yelling at me pretty big time because I couldn't even move when I woke up with severe autoimmune disease. So I want you to see the signs as they're building in your body, because if you eat the way I'm recommending, you can stave off ever going down this road. It can also be represented in the psyche as depression, anxiety, mood swings, and apathy. And it can show up as memory loss and slow learning. Now, if you're a child, that's particularly a problem because you want your kids to do the best they possibly can. And if you're not feeding them this fine food with all these phytonutrients, they don't stand a chance to learn at their greatest capacity. So you might ask, what comes first, the signs to the body or the signs to the psyche? And actually, they're interrelated. So I want you to eat copious amounts of the rainbow, both cooked and raw. There are advantages to some foods being eaten cooked and other advantages to eating them raw. And I want you to eat them organic. Now, if you can't afford to eat them all organic, then I want you to pay attention to the Dirty Dozen Clean 15. If you go to my website, which is CherylMHealthMuse.com, the Dirty Dozen card is there for reference. You can print it, you can put it in your purse, and you can take it everywhere you go. If it's on the dirty side of that card, it could have as many as 67 toxins on it. And what are those 67 toxins? They could be neurotoxins, they could be hormone disruptors, they could be things that are killing our bees and our butterflies. But all of those toxins are not only really bad for you, but they're really bad for the environment, and they're really bad long term for your brain, your learning, your relationships, for everything. So, eating real food is even linked to your physical and financial success, because how you feel and how your body functions is going to make a difference to how you perform in life. And remember, you can't be great if you don't feel great. So, this is all really important information. Now, you can also have raw green smoothies or chocolate collagen smoothies. I have just found a brand called Further Foods, and I love their chocolate collagen. So we've been having those in the morning for breakfast with a handful of spinach and a banana and some peanut butter and then almond milk and then the Further Foods chocolate collagen. Yum. It makes a filling, nutritious breakfast loaded with phytonutrients that keeps us going through the day. So that's lovely too. And then I amp it up by using spices and herbs And then I take a regular amount of supplements through the day that also help my body, like turmeric. The curcumin is what I now use for pain that comes from the turmeric. Ginger is great for pain and great for your body. Thyme, oregano. Oregano is actually a natural antibiotic. So if you have any kind of an infection, start with the oregano because it just might do the trick without the downside of the antibiotics. And then probiotics, which are important because they give you more healthy gut bacteria. Um, and then zinc, selenium, resveratrol, quercetin. Quercetin is nature's natural antihistamine. It's fantastic. I used to take antihistamines all the time, and they didn't work nearly as well as my natural quercetin does. And quercetin is a gift that gives gifts. It's good for my gut. It's good for my heart. It's good for my liver. It's good for my kidneys. It's good for my brain. And it takes care of my hay fever. So that's quercetin. It is a plant food that has all kinds of benefits for the body. You want to make sure you always have enough omega 3s. Processed food is loaded with omega 6s, and all your vegetable oils, other than your avocado oil and your olive oil, your vegetable oils, your corn oil, your soy oil, those are omega 6s and they cause inflammation. So stick with your omega 3s whenever possible. You'll get plenty of omega 6s without even trying. You need to have your magnesium checked on a regular basis, and you need to get your vitamin D3 checked on a regular basis because your body needs both of those things to keep your inflammation low as well. From a psychological point of view, I believe in doing breathing exercises every day, which resets your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your reptilian brain, but it also takes the top off of your chronic stress. And if you do that, we also use something called a belly button wand. Look it up. It also resets the parasympathetic nervous system. And you need 7 continuous hours of sleep. You need to move every day. And all of this helps control autoimmune flares or inflammatory issues. And then start to lower your toxic load whenever possible. And my whole first book is about where I found all the toxins in my life and I eliminated dozens of them. So let me refer you to my first book, which is called It Feels Good to Feel Good. Learn to eliminate toxins, reduce inflammation, and feel great again. Okay, so now let's get back into food because there's some things I want to share to you about food that were not in my first video. So it's the code that programs your software. Your hardware is your genes. Your software is how those genes can be turned on or off. And believe it or not, all the beautiful phytonutrients in food are what can turn those genes on or off. Food regulates not only your genes, but also your hormones like insulin, testosterone, estrogen, and your thyroid. Food can alter your brain chemistry, producing happy chemicals. It can even trigger addictive patterns. And the bottom line is health is multifactorial. This is a quote from Johnny Bowden, who is a functional nutritionist. Health is multifactorial. All the nutrients, phytochemicals, catechins, flavonoids, vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, fatty acids work together in a synergistic way to create resistance, disease, and to create a sense of vitality. Not one ingredient alone should shoulder the burden. They get together, all those different colors and all those different phytonutrients, and they have a little party in your body, which is what makes you healthy and strong and boosts your immune system. Unfortunately, as Americans, we're not getting enough of all these different colors. 69% of Americans are short in green phytonutrients. Now, green is probably the color of vegetables that we eat the most, and still 69% of us are not getting enough. 78% of us are falling short in red. 86% of us are falling short in white. 88% of us are falling short in purple and blue. And 79% of us are falling short in yellow and orange. They're all important. So you'll remember in the cooking demonstration, I asked you, do you want to live in the brick house or do you want to live in the straw house or the stick house? Trust me, you want to live in the brick house. So when the next big bad wolf and COVID-19 comes through, your body is not going to topple over when that big bad wolf blows on your house because you've been eating it, all those beautiful phytonutrients all along. And every single cell in your body has a shelf life. So we went through that in the cooking demonstration, so I don't have to go through it again here, but your cells replace themselves continually. So you need strong, healthy building supplies from all the phytonutrients so that you're rebuilding your body from the best possible quality building supplies. Build an immune system that keeps you healthy and protects you from chronic illness and superviruses. And then, trust me, you will amortize the money that you spent on buying organic food very quickly because you're not going to have all of the expensive health expenses down the road. Start today. And did you know that sugar and chemicals in processed and fast foods are addictive? Well, I do a Break the Addiction class quarterly so that you can break your addiction to all those chemicals and to sugar. And I've now done two. And the people who've gone through my first two rounds are amazed because they don't want that food anymore. They feel better. They want to eat better. And so eating all the phytonutrients has become really easy because that's what their bodies are asking for. They're not asking for all the junk. Does it mean you never can have any sugar again? No. We do eat little bits of sugar. I make Daniel Walker's Real Deal chocolate chip cookies, and they're yummy. Um, we do get some organic bakery goods that are made with real food quality ingredients, but they're not everyday treats. And I think that's the difference. So once you break away from all those chemicals, then that's when you're home free. Now, what I really want to talk about is why it's so important to eat seasonally, because it will reduce the demand for out of season produce, which will further support more local produce and support local farming in your area. And that means less transportation, less refrigeration, less hot houses, less irradiation of produce, and it means more maximum nutrients. You don't want, unless you can't get the food any other way, to be buying your vegetables from Chile. Now, easy for me to say because I live in California or Arizona, so I get year round produce. And you may live in an area where it's actually winter so that you don't have that advantage. But buy close to season as much as you possibly can. My first choice is for you to get to know your farmer because then you're buying food that was just picked the day before and you're taking it home and you're cooking it and getting it into your body and your family's body. If you can't do that, my second choice would be to buy real organic produce from your grocery store. But understand, it wasn't picked yesterday. It took a while to get to the grocery store and to get out into those bins and to get into your shopping cart so that you could take it home. So why do we want to go to the farm? When you get into the spring and the farms start producing their own vegetables and fruit, then I want you to stop buying all that stuff at the grocery store and start buying it from your local farm. And there are so many advantages to this. Wait until you hear all of the goodies that it will do for your body. It tastes better. It's cheaper because it's supply and demand. If you're buying in season, you're buying what's in abundance. And so you're buying the vegetable and the fruit when it's in its abundance stage. So you're getting the best possible value for your money. You're getting it with a higher nutritional value. You're getting local food which is preserving genetic diversity. And diversity is important because so many foods are traveling such long distances. Then you're not getting diversity because they are hand picking those varieties that will last the longest in transportation. That's not what I want you to make your criterion for what goes in your body. I want you to buy the fruits and the vegetables that have the greatest diversity in terms of phytonutrients. And you can only do that if you're buying local. You're getting things local that are genetically modified free. You're supporting your local farms, which is really important. You're building a stronger community. You have local food, which is preserving open space in your community. Large markets and grocers buy out of season produce that's maybe even been gas and irradiated, which means it was given a burst of radiation to kill germs, and it's been preserved in wax to extend its shelf life. So if you're buying local from the farm, you're not getting any of that stuff. By buying local, you're also avoiding overseas contaminants and you're buying from countries that may not have the same soil requirements that buying locally does. And I want you to get to know your local farmer and talk to him about what he's doing without pesticides and herbicides to grow the food and why it's important. And it's important that you teach your kids where food comes from. I did an entire hour on teaching your kids where their food comes from, because I read an article that kids actually believe that chocolate milk comes from chocolate cows or that avocados are laid by animals. When I was a kid, we actually learned how food was grown, but we've gotten so far away from the farm that we're not teaching that to our kids anymore, which is another reason why 54% of our kids have chronic illness. So by going to the farm, your children are going to have a whole new perspective on where their food comes from and the importance of phytonutrients and in eating for health, because that's what's important. So by buying from the farm and buying locally, you're supporting your body's natural nutritional needs. In the winter, we're provided by nature with all things citrus. These are particularly high in vitamin C, which is important for preventing infections such as colds and flus. Winter vegetables provide comfort in winter stews and soups and casseroles and warming meals. Summer foods such as stone fruits give you extra beta carotenes and other carotenoids that help protect us from sun damage. And they provide more sweetness for an energetic summer, as well as salad vegetables for those tasty, cool summer salads. So it helps people connect through the food they eat. John and I love to go to farmers markets. We've been in Arizona for the summer. We've gone to farmers markets and all the different communities around here because each farmers market has different things, and that's a great way to meet other people who are health oriented. It's a great way to get to know your farmer. It's a great way to meet the community that also wants to be healthy, and it's a great way as a foodie to find other yummy foods that are not available in small quantities from large places. So make sure that you do visit all your farmers markets when they're open, or become part of a CSA and go pick up your food that comes, whatever is in season comes in, and you buy a box up front. You get great prices, but you also get food that was just picked that is loaded with all kinds of yummy nutrients. You give ugly fruit a chance. Now, one of the number one things that's causing climate change is food waste. So we don't want to be wasting food, even if it has hiccups on it and it's ugly. I actually buy from a company in Los Angeles in the winter called Ugly Food, and they deliver me boxes of grand, wonderful, yummy, nutrient rich food that has little crooks or hiccups or lumps or bruises on it, but is still prime food for us to eat. And I'm saving all that food waste, which is a wonderful thing. If you're buying food that was just picked, it will last longer. So there's less waste that way too. And so next I want to talk about how long do vegetables and fruit keep their nutrients. Most produce loses 30% of its nutrients 3 days after harvest, 3 days. And so all of those great phytonutrients just went out the window and didn't get into your body. So by buying food and buying it locally, you get a much better chance of getting that food with prime nutrients that are fresh and are at their maximum. So that's another great reason to buy it um, when it's fresh. Americans now are spending more on healthcare than on food, so not including money. And this does not include money spent on health insurance, medications, and supplements, which most people consider necessary to compensate for the nutritional deficiencies of the conventionally produced foods. So if you're buying prime food with prime nutrients, you may not need all that stuff. So that's going to save you money too. And you're protecting food diversity. There were 50 years ago 5,000 different varieties of seeds available in catalogs, and we're down to just 500 because they don't last as long. They need to be planted, they need to be picked, they need to hit your plate and get into your body. And so all those seeds are slowly disappearing, and all of that diversity is disappearing. And your gut needs all that diversity of all the different colors and all those phytonutrients to be healthy and create health in your body. 20% of the vitamin C is lost um, in our food from 50 years ago. 15% of our iron has been lost. 38% of our riboflavin have been lost. And the decline in nutrient value is partly due to the industrial growers choosing varieties that will grow fast. Fast growing vegetables cannot possibly acquire the nutrients that slower growing plants get. And you need the photosynthesis from the soil. So, as one local physician quipped, in 1950, Popeye could actually get all the strength he needed from a can of spinach. Today, he would have to eat a whole bathtub full of spinach to get the same power. Imported fruits and vegetables are now picked green so that they actually ripen on the road. If you're going to the farm or you're going to the farmer's market, that's not true. You're getting food that just got picked. But if you're buying it that's imported or that's at the grocery store, it's actually picked green so that it ripens on the road. And natural sugars often will only develop when the plants are on the vine. So long distant foods can taste inferior and have inferior nutrition. One of the women that I met at the farmers market actually sliced up her farm fresh tomatoes and then put them next to grocery store tomatoes. The difference was night and day. At my LA farmers market, we buy beefsteak tomatoes that are out of this world. I would pay a heck of a lot more money for those tomatoes than for a tomato that has no taste at all. And I love tomatoes. So buying really good farm fresh tomatoes is worth every bite. The farm that I was following said that they never want to eat foods that are better traveled than they are. Something to think about. So, since long distance fruits and vegetables and big food is choosing fruits and vegetables for shipping and shelf life, large growers will not raise heirloom varieties that are more delicious and more nutritious when harvested ripe and sold quickly than it is when it has to fly and travel further than you did. So, and it turns to mush if they don't do that. So, but then it's not any good to them. If you buy local foods, these are all the advantages. The food travels from the farmer's hand to your hand, not thousands of miles. You have a personal relationship with the farmer and you can see how the food is grown. You can help preserve a local farming economy and culture. You strengthen the food security of your immediate community. And food insecurity is a big thing at the moment. So if we even just bought locally and then gave the poorer people, the food that's left over that's still quality food, the entire community is better off. You maintain plant diversity. You preserve open spaces and the complex ecology that farms create. You avoid unforeseen toxic consequences for human and environmental health from genetic alteration of plants and animals. I don't want genetically modified food. It has poison in it. And I sure don't want food that's been sprayed with herbicides and pesticides that's adding a healthy dose of poison with every bite. So if you get to know your farmer and you knew how he grew your food and you know it's pesticide and herbicide free, and you know he's rotating his soil, you are 100 times better off because you're getting maximum goodies with every bite. You have a great place to take guests and children. We went out to a farm that's a pick it yourself farm because when our grandchildren come, we want to have a place where we can take them, where they can pet the cows and the sheep and hold the baby chicks, and where they can go pick their own vegetables, because that's all part of their education about where does their food come from, and it's important. All of this might sound trivial, but think about the number of young people who have no idea where their food comes from and how it's impacting their health. So the closest contact with animal may be a pet in that case, or a petting zoo. If you get to take them to the farm like I got to go to when I was a kid, then your kids are that much better off and that much closer to a healthy life. Okay, so now I want to get into how quickly does food lose its nutrients, because this was all stuff that I did not know and that I want to share with you. Artichokes, asparagus, broccoli, kale, leeks, spinach, mushrooms, arugula, and lettuce start to lose nutrients within 2 to 3 days. And in 2 to 3 days, they've actually lost as much as half their antioxidants. That doesn't mean they don't have a way more than you would get if you bought them at the grocery store, and even way more than that if that item in the grocery store came from South America or some other area of the country. But it is losing antioxidants. So another great reason to buy from the farm and get it right into your cook it and eat it quickly. Artichokes, they lose very quickly. Now, it's impossible to eat them before they start losing some of their nutritional value, but canned, jarred, and frozen artichokes are just as nutritious as fresh, so make sure you add some of those into your diet. Asparagus, to check for freshness, rub them together. If they squeak, then they're still really fresh. And I love asparagus. It is a prebiotic, so it's adding fiber to your gut, which is feeding the probiotics in your gut. So it's a wonderful vegetable. Um, and so you want to make sure that you're eating plenty of the probiotics as well, and asparagus is a good one. Spinach, 3 days after spinach is harvested, it will have lost 30% of its antioxidants and its nutrition. Um, Now, there's a book out that I'm going to recommend called Eating on the Wild Side, which has all these tips in it. And she recommends that when you buy something like spinach or arugula or lettuce, you put it in a plastic sealable bag, and then you seal it and use a needle to prick holes in the bag, 10 per side. This way you've limited how much oxygen the spinach gets to have access to, so it can't use up its antioxidants very quickly. And even though it's been picked, it's still growing and it's still alive. So by poking the holes in the plastic, it isn't leaching out all of its goodies too quickly, and you get to enjoy it. Arugula is the same thing. I love arugula. Have you tried arugula? It has that peppery taste that just adds so much to a salad. And arugula is a bitter, so it's really good for your gallbladder and your liver. And if you don't know how important your liver is, I did 3 full podcasts on the liver, so go back and listen to them. Celeriac, which is related to celery and the root of a variant of celery. can be kept for 2 to 3 weeks. Now he'll last longer. I like Celerac. I use it instead of potatoes, sometimes in things like clam chowder. And I make clam chowder without using milk or cream, believe it or not. I soak cashew nuts and I add in those into my blender. And that's what I make my white sauce from, with some coconut milk and then with Celerac, which gives it that potatoey kind of taste. And then I add my clams to that with my ghee and my seasoning, and it makes a really mighty yummy soup that's loaded with great nutrition. Corn is a great food, and if it's organically raised, but it is a grain and not a grass. So it contains more omega-6 fatty acids. I told you you're going to get your fatty omega-6s no matter what. It does not have omega-3s in it, but it also loses its goodies pretty quickly, and it starts turning to sugar the minute that it's picked. So they recommend you buy it fresh from the farm. We have a farm here that has the world's best corn. So you buy it fresh, you shuck it, and you cook it right away, and you don't overcook it, and you eat it. It's because that way it hasn't leached out any of its goodies and not too much of it has turned to sugar. So that's all great. Lettuce purchased at the store, unless it was locally grown, has probably traveled a really long way, which means its vitamins are depleted by frequent washing and misting. So what's recommended is that you grow your own. There are little things that you can buy that will help you grow. You can even grow lettuce in your living room, but if you grow your own, then you get maximum nutrition. I like to buy the baby romaine that comes both in purple and in green. I used it in my cooking video because it's loaded with nutrition. Use the same storage trick that I gave you for the spinach, where you put it in plastic and poke holes in it. And believe it or not, lettuce will actually increase in antioxidants if you do that, because it's still alive. And rip the leaves when you put it into the plastic bag. Rip them open, because then the plant thinks that it needs to replace, because it thinks an animal bit into it. And so it actually adds antioxidants while it's in the baggie so that it keeps gaining in phytonutrients, which is fantastic. Garlic. When you heat fresh garlic, it will destroy some of its ability to produce allicin. And so cut it up and let it rest 10 minutes and then add it in your cooking. That 10 minutes allows the allicin to come to its maximum benefit, and then you get the maximum benefit from the garlic. And garlic's really good for cholesterol. It's great for all kinds of health things in your body, and it's a probiotic that feeds. It's a prebiotic that feeds your probiotics. So garlic's a great thing. Napa cabbage can be stored in the refrigerator for several days and does not lose its vitamins, but after that, it can start to leach out its photochemicals. Onions. Sharp onions have 5 times more antioxidants than sweet onions. For me, that's a good thing because I like the sharp onions better than the sweet onions. And scallions are the most nutritious of all, but don't throw away the whole green top, because that's where all the goodies are. Tomatoes. The smaller the tomato, the closer it is to its wild ancestor, and the higher it is in nutrient profile. A cherry tomato has 20 times more lycopene than a beefsteak tomato. So buy some cherry tomatoes and then buy some beefsteaks. I love the taste of beefsteaks, but I do buy quite a few cherry tomatoes. And tomatoes are a dirty crop, so you want to buy those organic no matter what, whether they're cherry tomatoes or they're beefsteaks. You want to buy them organic so you're not getting a healthy dose of toxins with every bite. Squashes like Delica, acorn, butternut, and Hubbard squash, they last for a long time because they're winter squashes and they have a harder shell on them. So they'll actually store for a long time in a cool place. So they're safe to buy. And you need a sharp knife in order to open them up. And they can actually even be frozen. So if you take the skin off and cut them into little cubes, you can put them into plastic baggies and throw them into your freezer, and then you have them to use in soups and things later. Grapes no longer have as much resveratrol as it used to. So that's one reason why they often recommend that we drink red wine, because it's loaded with resveratrol. Instead, try Concord grapes because they're very close to the wild and they're loaded with goodness. Currants have more phytonutrients than most dried fruits and considerably more than raisins. Other than the fact that they're smaller, I can't tell the difference between a currant and a raisin personally. So I use currants when I bake, when I would normally be using raisins because I want the extra nutrition. Cauliflower, the white is the least nutritious. So if you're going to buy cauliflower, buy some of the orange, buy some of the green, buy some of the purple, and buy some of the white, because each one of the cauliflowers has different gifts and different phytonutrients for your body. The colored ones have twice the antioxidants as the white kind. So don't just buy the white, buy the colors as well. Baby carrots. Don't go buying baby carrots because they're actually bigger carrots that got all the great phytonutrients taken off of it to make them little and equal in size. So what you really want is the real carrots. You can buy little carrots, and you want to scrub the carrot. You don't want to peel it because all the goodies are in the outside of that vegetable. And buy a bunch with the greens attached so that you can cut them into sticks yourself, because once it's cut, it starts leaching all of its goodies again. Beets. Eat beets because they have 50 times more antioxidants than carrots. And don't throw away the beet greens because they have more nutrition than even the beets do. So they're loaded with goodies. My husband likes to pickle beets. God, they're delicious. So, knock yourself out and find ways to use some of these less popular vegetables now because they're all super good for you. Berries have 4 times the antioxidants than most other fruit and 10 times more than most vegetables. We eat a lot of berries. We eat them for dessert. And although they're sweet and they are a delight to eat, we eat them for dessert. They are loaded with goodness and they are low in calories. So knock yourself out with all the berries because they're super good for you. Cherries, choose big cherries versus the Rainier because they have 4 times the antioxidants. Peaches. Peach is a fruit that breaks the old adage about colorful produce having more nutrition. Believe it or not, white peaches have more nutrition than yellow peaches. And I just read an article that a Navajo Indian woman that graduated with her master's in farming and agriculture has found some of the original peach trees that go back hundreds of years that the indigenous people, the Navajo Indian ancestors, grew in orchards that the white men armies all destroyed when they took over the Native American lands. And she's starting to grow the peach trees again so that she can bring back some of the lost Indian foods that were so nutritious for her tribe. And so if that happens and you come across one of the original peach varieties, they have something like 100 times more nutrition in them. So you're going to want to try those as well. But remember, berries are dirty. So you want to buy them organic because you don't want that poison with every single bite that you're getting. Forage whenever possible. I know in LA there are some restaurants where you can go eat an entire meal that's been foraged, and that means that it is wild food, which means that it has more nutrition in it. And if possible, plant your own garden. Now, in my children's video where I'm recommending that kids understand where their foods come from, I show you how to plant the tops of carrots and the tops of romaine and the bottoms of romaine lettuce, so it grows new lettuce. There's all kinds of things that you can grow and still enjoy the top part of it in your meal, and then put the rest into water and grow a new batch. So learn how to plant a garden from seeds, learn how to grow a garden from the scraps of the food that you're eating, because all of that is great for your child. I'm going to put up a meme here that shows you where to find farmers markets. There's a .com for that. Where to find local harvests. There's a .com for that. Where to eat wild. There's a .com for that. Where to get raw milk. There's a .com for that. And all of these are important because they're more nutritious. And so we're going to stop there because I think we have plenty for a full hour podcast now. And then I'm going to pick back up with what are nutrients next time. And then what each one, I went briefly over what each color gives the body, but I have more intense notes on what each color brings to the body. So I'll do that next week in the next podcast, because I want to encourage you to eat diversity, to eat all the colors, and to eat them as close together as possible. And when you do your shopping, prepare it and put it at eye level in your refrigerator, because when you open up your refrigerator, what's easy and what's prepared is going to be what you're going to grab and what you're going to want to eat, instead of going and grabbing a bag of potato chips, because you really need to be eating for health, and your body will celebrate and be happy that you're eating for health. And then you're not going to get disease and you're not going to get sick like I did. And so all of this is really important. So buy local, the whole thing is buy all the colors of the rainbow from a farm as close to you as possible, so that you're buying in season, you're getting the best possible price, you're getting it from the field to your plate so that it gets into your body in the shortest amount of time. And that's when your body gets to celebrate health and keep you well, and so that you can grow old and thrive. Lots of brain power, and you can be as great as you set out to be because you're eating great. And trust me, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So all of this information is important because your health is that important. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed my cooking demonstration and my food facts in terms of how quickly food begins to lose its goodies and its phytonutrients, why it's important to eat all the colors together, and why it's important to eat all the colors. And you do that, you follow my advice, and you will truly be as successful as you can. You'll be good for your body. You'll be doing good for your family. You'll be doing good for the earth and the planet. And together, if we all do this, we'll slow down climate change. So see you next week. We're going to talk more about the colors and all the different things the colors do for us. And it's been fun to share all this information with you today. So thank you so much. Hello, could I see a show of hands if there's anybody out there like me who's tried to lose weight their whole life and not been successful? So you've tried all the different diets available. You've tried Weight Watcher. You've tried Jenny Craig. You've tried all the New York Times bestsellers. And the last time you did it, you started off great, just like all the other times. And you started losing weight, and then all of a sudden you fell off the horse. And before you know it, you're eating fast food and processed food again with all that sugar, and you don't even know why. And in the end, you've gained more weight than where you started out. So you now are beating yourself up that you just don't have the willpower to win. If that's you, I want to address the elephant in the room, because 9 years ago I got autoimmune disease and started researching because I didn't want the pain that came with the autoimmune disease, and the added benefit was I lost the weight along the way. So let me tell you what happens. Big food doesn't want you to win. They've rigged the system. They've put so many chemicals into fast food and processed food that they light up the brain like a pinball machine. It's the same part of the brain that goes off for cocaine and heroin, and you feel great when you eat that food, but it's not making you feel good, and you're starving your body for nutrition because it's loaded with empty calories, so you're getting fat eating that food, and it's not giving your body what you need. And it's turning off all your own feel-good hormones of serotonin and dopamine and even your insulin, which keeps your moods even. But worse than that, there's two little hormones here at the back of your neck called ghrelin and leptin, and they don't work, and they regulate your appetite because all those chemicals have subdued them, so you don't even know when you're full. So what did I learn to do instead? I'm eating the GLAD diet, loaded with all the phytonutrients that my body needs to be healthy and to thrive and to boost my immune system and to ditch the pain. And along the way of eating all this live food, I lost 60 pounds without dieting. You see, I was starving my body for nutrition when I was eating the standard American diet, and now that I'm giving my body all those beautiful phytonutrients, it's not holding on to it anymore, so it's just dropping it automatically. So don't eat the standard American diet. I don't want you to get a standard American disease, and I certainly don't want you to die the standard American death. Instead, start eating the GLAD diet, because by eating all those beautiful phytonutrients, you will be healthier and you will live long and thrive. Thank you.